iPhone is Gerald. Thank you, Dana. iPhone, or Robbie, is Daryl Wendlet, our Parks Director. Chris Jones is one of our Parks Commissioners. Pat Lesko is a Parks Commissioner. Chip Denton is a Parks Commissioner. Robert Rockovitz is our City Manager. Okay, Jim Little is our Police Chief.
Wow.
Dana Witcher is our City Clerk. And Chief Greg Brett is our Fire Chief. And did I miss anybody?
I haven't seen Clifford. He said he was joining.
Oh, Clifford. Okay. Clifford said he would join us. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead because it's time to go ahead. Let me call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. I want to introduce Kane Cochran, who started working with us actually in 2015. So a little more than 7 years ago. He started helping us by building an app for Cockermouth Park, and it was really pretty amazing. It included all sorts of wonderful information.
Yeah.
And he also created a website for Cockermouth Park that is still up. You can see it has lots of wonderful pictures, but it has parts that are not functioning, and the app is not functioning anymore either. And that's because Apple has changed its operating system so many times that a 7-year-old app simply will not work. So Kane is willing to come back and build a new app for us to help people find their way on the trails and find their way back to the parking lot. And I asked him to come to this meeting so that he could give you a little information about what he's planning and also answer questions. So, okay, so I have called you to order, and we have 2 items we need to do first. One is approval of agenda. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Did you, well, I make a motion to approve it, but then I want to add something maybe. How do I do that?
Oh, I think you have to say you want to amend it.
Okay, I think we want to amend it to talk about the proposal, the information from TPL.
Okay, I think we definitely need to do that.
Unless you want to add it, Diana, were you going to talk about TPL and during your segment? Then we wouldn't have to, right?
Just commission member comments. Now let's talk about it as part of the, how about as part of the Riverlands Park Universal Design Trail? How about part of that first? Was that okay with you, Pat?
Sure.
Okay, but we definitely need to talk about it. I agree.
Okay, then I make a motion to approve it, the agenda.
All right. And do I have a second?
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye and raise your hand so I can see you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, thank you. That passes. And then second, approval of the minutes of our last regular meeting, which was March 14th. Can I get a motion and a second? Does anything needs to be changed? Can I get a motion and a second to approve those?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 14th meeting. Can I, all in favor say aye? Raise your hand so I can see you. Opposed, nay? Thank you. All right.
Hey, Rob, just interrupt real quick. I just got an email from Clifford. He's trying to get in. Can you send him a link again?
Yeah. Who needs a link? Clifford?
Yeah, he needs a link.
Okay, Robbie, are you doing that?
I want to see what I can do.
I can email it if you want.
Is it you gonna email it? I was gonna email it. I don't have his phone. I was gonna text.
I can text him. I can text him real quick, I think.
I don't have his phone number.
Thank you.
I'll text him while we go on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Kane, tell us a little bit about what you have planned.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and just share the document. I'm sure you guys have seen the document, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first thing to say about it, when we did create an app, like Diana said, 7 years or so ago, but the app obviously, without perpetually updating it just was no longer able to be viable on iOS's platform and even Android's platform at this point. So Diana and I started talking about opportunities for us to refresh the app, rebuild the app. And our recommendation at this point is that we actually design a mobile web application instead of an actual application for iOS and Android, and then have to maintain that. And instead, we actually continue to expand out the coppermillpark.com website, refresh the website with new updates, and then actually create and expand on the current map on the site. So we'll make the application full screen compatible. We'll allow park visitors to access their location, show their location in real time, leveraging GPS. We'll be able to allow them to see up-to-date park maps, view pins with closest exits, really be able to see all the same stuff that we would have in an application itself, but keep it entirely web-based. So that allows us to support iOS, allows us to support Android, allows us to support any apps that or any phones that actually come out without then requiring them to download. I think one of the challenges that we have with apps is making sure that people know about them ahead of time and can download them, when they're in a situation where they're not necessarily out and about, and can actually allow them to download a 25, 50, 100 meg application. And so with a mobile website, they don't have to download anything. If they happen to end up at the park and they get lost, as long as they have even just a little bit of juice, they can go ahead and hit up Cochrane Mill Park and be able to see their location and go ahead and find their way out of the park. And so the main recommendation here is that we keep the map and the site with the most critical information up to date, allowing for kind of the limited data connections, because we know there's some spots in the park with limited data connections. Allow that to be able to be accessed and then let people get out of the park if they need it. So a lot of the same functionality that we had in the original one. Obviously, we won't do anything around tracking hikes and things like that. Other apps are out there if you wanted to do all that fancy stuff. But we will be able to provide up-to-date trail maps, be able to provide pins to get you out. And that will still work even with limited data connections. So for all of, for basically all of the main kind of requirements, one, that we don't want to be, huge from a budget perspective, but two, that we allow people to be able to be a little bit more flexible and not have to have downloaded the app ahead of time, mobile web makes the most sense. So that's the very high level piece. I'm sure you guys already read all of that and probably have some additional questions, but I wanted to at least level set the difference between doing an app and doing a mobile site, and then kick it off for some questions.
Hey, thanks, Kane. I got a quick question. When we upload the maps, will we be able to have the I guess they're waypoints that are on the new map system that are numbered? Do you think we would be able to have that so if somebody's walking, they would know where they were, by seeing those waypoints?
Absolutely.
That can
happen?
happen?
Absolutely. Yep, we can absolutely plot pins that would be, corresponding with a number for sure. So, we would have, the map kind of layout itself like we have currently. And then we can also plot individual locations on there, waypoint, whether they're numbers or letters or however they happen to be, you'd have that.
Yeah,
we can also
we have signage out with those numbers on them in those places, or relative, close to where those places are. So that would be really helpful, especially for EM, emergency, trying to locate someone. I think that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. To be able to say we're close to waypoint 3, for example, or whatever it happens to be, they can get straight to that place. So absolutely. Yeah, we can do that. I think we can, we can differentiate between exits and waypoints. We could have them colored differently or pinned differently. So we certainly can do that as well, so that it's easier to understand kind of, I'm trying to get out of the park. I don't necessarily care about a waypoint, 1, 2, 3, but I do know that the exit is dead north of me. So let me just go that way and get there.
That's super. That's super
so we can do
cool.
that as well. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
one thing one thing I did want to mention that's similar to the way that you would have a normal kind of app-based situation is GPS is independent of mobile data connection. It runs off a sensor on the phone itself. That sensor will continue to function even if the service goes down. So if you happen to have had the app or the website up, and then you went ahead and hit a spot where there's no internet connection, as long as you didn't close the web page down, your pin will continue to update with you as you move throughout the park.
Oh, cool. Kind of like the way Google Maps works, where it uses the GPS if you're off.
100%.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Yeah. I mean, on the site currently, we're leveraging Google. We may move to Mapbox. We may stick with Google. Both offer, very similar functionality. So yeah, both of them will still function. I've got test apps that show, that ability. I actually went out, opened up the app today, turned off my cell, went to airplane mode while I went to pick the kids up, and made sure it followed me all the way there and all the way back, and we
And it
didn't have
worked.
any issues. We were
Wow.
totally fine.
That's great. Yeah, I know at the park, and I don't know if Daryl can speak to it, but I'm pretty sure the new cell phone tower's online. I noticed it last week when I was there. I got full bars way
Awesome.
back on the trails, so which is really good news. So that's
I bet
awesome.
I bet that's a relief for the chief. I think you're on page 2 or 3 of the scrolling list of faces. So great to see you again, and some other familiar faces from 7 years ago. But I'm sure that's really been helpful, having access deep into the park. I know that was such a big concern.
Oh,
and
yeah,
one of the reasons why
definitely.
we went app-based originally, and then requiring you to download tiles and all that kind of stuff. But that's great. That's good to know that it finally came live. I know Diana and I have talked about it being a proposed solution for a long time. So that's awesome.
Other questions?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I just think it sounds great.
Yeah, it
Awesome.
does. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
excited. Kane, we're really
Kane,
excited.
That's great.
about it, so
That's
yeah.
great.
I like
Yeah.
everything you're saying, but my biggest concern still is the coverage. Robbie, maybe you can speak to this. I know we were supposed to have some Wi-Fi, but that was just around the parking lot. So I'm wondering, is there any way that we can walk it? I'll volunteer to do it, walk the trails. And if you got an app that I can record where I am and what the coverage is, or do you know of one?
But the Wi-Fi with the cameras will get you within the immediate parking lot. And then, as Roland was saying, I haven't got notice that the Verizon tower is up and running, but he said he got good signal. I think
Yeah,
what
I
Kane-
did. I'd never gotten 5 bars, and up there on Upper Wooten Road. And my assumption was it was on unless something's changed. I was up there on the yellow trail, and I noticed all of a sudden I had 5 bars. And of course, internet, because we all have, internet capable
Yeah.
cell phones with that. So
And that's how Kane was able to work it, putting on airplane mode to pick up his kids, right? I mean, you're able to
Yeah.
basically, right? So
Exactly. Just like anything, though, you're going to need to be able to have it. Even an app that allowed for offline maps, you would have to have had access at one point beforehand. And so what this is if I had opened it up as a page on the browser, for example, and I went into the park, if for some reason I lost internet access and I popped this app back up, without refreshing, obviously, it'll be able to show me exactly where I'm at and follow me throughout the park, even in airplane mode, or even if it's shut off. So that's a really big deal. And I think it's that alone separates the conversation from requiring an app to, allowing you to build out something that's entirely web-based and not having to go through the process of, all of what you'd have to do to be able to create a cross-platform iOS and Android app. So yeah, you guys should be rocking and rolling once we get the new capabilities in the website.
So maybe we have something at the kiosk, that tells everyone, to where to go to log in to get the web-based app, log in, and then instruct, say, just leave it up. If you lose signal, you'll still have, it'll still show you where you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll have,
Yeah.
maybe we can put something there, Diana, or at the kiosk, get a sign made or something once we're up.
Yeah.
And
So
at the
Put a little
same time,
put a little QR code that'll take you to see, cockermillpark.com.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We can do a
Yeah.
QR
So
code.
Kane, will this be part of the website that we have now, the cockermillpark.com website?
100%. Yeah, that's the other
And-
major benefit, is that it's now, what we're proposing here is that we update the website with the new content that you need. And as part of that
Yep.
process, we're also going to be, building in this new rich map capability.
Okay.
And is that something that that we could update at some point if it needed updating? Can you teach
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
staff to do that?
Yeah, that would be
Absolutely.
great. Yeah.
I know Robbie
Mhm.
manages our website, so he might be the one to do that.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
have I've gotten several people that say they still go to that website to check for the trails closed, you know, the weather, stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
weird.
So,
Yeah,
and we haven't been able to update that on it for quite some time because, you know, it used to be you could do it with an iPhone. app.
Right. Yeah, we built that out, and unfortunately that fell by the
That went-
wayside as
That
well.
went
So
the wayside too. But is there a
Yeah.
way to have either city staff or, you know, be able to access and do that on that?
absolutely.
On that page?
Yeah, that was actually one of the kind of original intentions. We built it on a WordPress platform so that it would
Yeah.
be easy to teach and allow guys to
Oh,
get
I
in
didn't,
and
I didn't
update
know
the
it was on
content.
WordPress. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
manage a couple of WordPress sites through my job, so
Oh, great.
yeah, I'm familiar with
Yeah.
that myself. I guess we'll figure out whether the city, and that would go through Robbie, wants to have others other than, you know, maybe Parks Commission members could be able to edit that status. It's mainly the status, you know.
Mainly the status. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we do it on Facebook now, and we also do it on other websites through MTBA, who has the MOU with the city to manage the, you know, trails there. And
Mhm.
they're also posting the status on their sites.
Oh,
So,
great.
yeah, so it'd be pretty awesome to be able to have that kind of be coordinated where it all happens at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe we connect separately on where else it's being updated, and I'll see if there's any data feeds that I can leverage from those sources to bring it
Oh,
into
that
the
would be,
website.
that would
And
be pretty awesome. Yeah, because
it'd be great. Yeah.
there's an official weather app that that MTBA has called A&B Weather. And
Okay.
they post the status on all the parks all the trails they manage, and there's probably 25 of them. And
Right.
Cockrell Mill Park happens to be one. And right now we do it manually. They just send an email and say we should close the trails because we got this much rain. And then I go
Okay.
in there and I close them on the stuff I can get to, the social media mainly. So that'd be pretty awesome if there's a way to link that. I have
Yeah, let's look into it.
yeah, and I have a
Yeah.
contact for that, so we can, once we get ready to start moving, I can maybe put that in, you know, that contact with you.
Yeah,
And see how
absolutely.
it works. Yeah.
Yeah, and if not, if we still have to update it in two places, we'll bring that update capability into the WordPress site.
Okay, no, that
like I
sounds
said,
pretty
it
awesome.
was in the app to make it super easy for Diana and others, but without that, I'll do the same thing, but we'll have it in the WordPress site.
Okay, cool.
Ken, is there a way to do a proof of concept, maybe walk those trails with the app to see what the coverage is?
Like a
Before we
UDP
commit
or
to
something.
I can probably set you guys up with something very basic, without a ton of additional time, a few hours of time, just to give you something that you can go out and, see the pin, see your location, and then be able to flip off data and, see that it's continuing to track you. Yeah, I can do that if you guys need it.
Yeah, I'd like to see where the coverage is before we commit to it. I like the concept, I like the ideas, but that's my biggest drawback is we got limited coverage there pretty much everywhere I've walked in the park.
Yeah. Yeah, it
But
sounds like
the way it works-
that's getting better, but yeah, I mean, let's see what that looks like. And you certainly could just go out and grab a map, and then flip off your location and be able to see it, as long as it's a web-based app.
Yeah, I've done that, Chip, with I use Gaia GPS, and you can put it on, airplane mode, and the web's off, and it's tracked me. I've tracked a lot of trails with that app, which is very similar to what we're talking about.
Exactly. Leverages all the same technology. It's the fact that the sensors are independent of internet access makes all of that possible.
Yeah, and you can do that with Google Maps too.
So,
Chip.
That's what I was gonna ask. So if I just went out there with Google Maps, I could test that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Pull up your Google Maps, make sure it's loaded before you turn off everything, because even in the app, you're going to need to have the tiles downloaded.
Right.
And then, flip off, go into airplane mode and walk around, and you'll see that your location continues to be tracked.
Yeah, and it does it with the Apple Maps too, the same,
Yeah.
it works the same way.
Okay.
So if you have an iPhone instead of.
Any of these services all leverage the geolocation spec, which leverages the individual hardware. inside each of the devices. So they've standardized that spec across, across Android devices, across iOS devices. And so any of the SDKs, any of the apps out there, they're all leveraging the core framework that's the same, underlying framework. So anything you guys have that's a map-based solution, you should be able to see it working.
Kane, I'm curious. I know at least my iPhone does. I hadn't messed with mobile apps in quite a while, but it gives you the ability to send out a SOS. Is there any way to do that easily from the app? If somebody's lost and they can say, "Hey, here, I'm lost. We got a medical situation," something like that. Can you build that into it fairly easily, or would it make sense to do it?
Yeah, so it wouldn't necessarily make sense. I think if you're lost or you want an SOS, and I think the chief can speak to it, better than I should, but we certainly could build some of that in. We've discussed that in the past and looked into doing that in the past, and even had, I think, a proof of concept once in the original app way back in the day. But anything that keeps them from getting a hold of an actual, rescue personnel is potentially risky. And so there's that one extra breakage point. If we have it in the app and they're trusting that actually made it to someone, versus just calling 911 or calling something, that is a little bit risky and could potentially even be a liability. I'm not an attorney, but certainly could end up being a liability for the park if they're relying on your service versus just their phone to get a hold of somebody.
Yeah, I guess you got to have mobile service no matter what, whether you're calling somebody,
You would.
send that signal out. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure thing. All great questions.
Yes. Any other questions? Anyone else? So Robbie, what do we need to do? What are next steps with this?
Next steps, you guys, you could take a vote and vote in favor of authorizing me to execute this agreement. If that's what you agree with. I think it's something that's overdue, and Chief Brett and Chief Litter are on the call, and from a public safety standpoint, I think it's very critical to have this in place.
Okay. Yes.
Diana, can you ask both of them to speak to it? What their thoughts are on it? Both chiefs.
We'd love to hear from Chief Brett or Chief Little or both.
Greg here. Sure. Love the fact that when we have a full cellular service available for people out there, that they can tell us exactly where they're located. I mean, it's wonderful that an app in both operating environments, will support anybody out there. As Kane's already said, we were limited. We were cut in half before when we only had the iOS support. So, I don't know what percentage of people use iPhone. It's probably the most popular, but we've had plenty of people, we know we're on Android. And for them to be able to say, this is where I'm located, a lot of times what we will ask for people to do is drop a pin and then text us that information. And so in the same manner, they could screenshot where they're located on the trails and send that as well. We would, that helps us know what routes to take, and has a lot to do with how we respond. It's great to hear that both environments, and that it's going to be as interactive as it is.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you very much. That's great. Yeah.
Chief Little.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Chief Brett said. The key is figuring out where they are. That's always been the challenge. And with this, it's going to significantly improve our response time if we can go directly to them rather than searching. Because a lot of times, we have to split up our resources to go in different directions because they're not aware of where they are in the park. So I would love to see this in place.
Can I ask one more question, Kane? In that case, when the map, when you're offline, because you can't get an internet connection, but you still got the map up, will you be able to click on one of those waypoints and know which one it is? So if I clicked on my phone, there I see the little, thing. Can you do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, as the chief was talking, I was even thinking that, presenting it at the bottom, even your latitude and longitude and nearest waypoint would be great. And
Yeah.
so I think one of the things that I think I'll look into doing is seeing if I can, continually kind of monitor the closest waypoint and at the very least print latitude, longitude, which they could easily give you and you could pop right in. But yeah, they would also be able to tap on the nearest waypoint and see, this is XYZ, come get me.
Yeah.
I'm south of it, I'm east of it, I'm right by it.
Yeah, our waypoint naming convention, which we kind of settled on, would be color code like red R, and then there's a
Great.
number specific R34, R20. So that's what the waypoint numbers would be, and they'd be easily
wonderful.
identifiable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we'd color them. We'll color the pins, the color of the waypoint. So if it's red, R21 or whatever it is. So
Yep.
we'll do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only
I
thing we'll need for that is the GPS coordinates for those waypoints in the name.
Yeah, and I think, we have to identify those, but I think that's what Chief Brett wanted, was to be able to have those GPS for those waypoints. So they'd know immediately, oh, this is the GPS coordinate for this waypoint, and they're in between this one and that one, so we know exactly where they are. So that would be great. Yeah.
Excellent.
A little something to chew on there for our people, our response persons to be able to see themselves in that same mapping environment allows us to identify where we are in proximity to them just very easily, very, very easy. So yeah, when you add the piece with the lat long, it's just another way to validate where we believe them to be.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a good idea just to work with both the chiefs and Roland, since Roland's more familiar with anything, just for usability. Because that sounds
Absolutely.
like that's what we're shooting for, is safety more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Any way I can help. Yeah. Just let me know.
Will do.
All right. Thank you, Kane. Thank you, everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Robbie, can we vote on that now, or do we have to wait till later on the agenda?
No, you can call for a motion now. I mean, I'll
All
check
right.
with Dana to make sure that, I don't have the agenda in front of me because
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's not listed later on the agenda. I mean, I think it's probably fine to call for the motion now.
Thank you, Dana.
Well, Diana, you might know this. What's the minimum that we have to bid? Put it out for bid.
Let me
Robbie.
make sure I'm on mute. This is a professional services contract, and it's all essentially a renewal of an existing contract. So under professional services, we have a little bit more discretion when it comes to the purchasing policies.
Okay.
So, Robbie, help me word this right. I'm asking for a motion to authorize City Manager Robbie Rockovitz to what with this? To authorize
Authorize me
moving
to
forward with
execute,
this?
to execute an agreement with, well, don't say Kane,
Authorize you to
Full class. Yeah.
Kane.
Yeah.
with his company.
Glass
to-
Lab?
That's correct. Yeah.
With
Glass Lab.
Glass
I would-
Lab.
Full class.
Wait,
Dana,
there's
yes.
our city clerk.
I would say that the motion is to recommend, not authorize the city manager.
Okay, that's good.
Excellent. All right, can I get someone to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to contract with Full
Recommend.
Class Lab.
Recommend.
Recommend, excuse me,
Recommend.
city manager to contract with Full Class Labs to start.
And I'll
the-
second it, but I can't repeat it.
I'll second it too.
I have a motion and a second to recommend that the city manager execute an agreement with Folk Labs to create this web-based app for Cockermouth Park. All in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I think that passes. unanimously. Opposed, nay. Okay, yay. Woohoo.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hey,
All right, Kane, is there
hey.
anything else you need from us?
That's excellent. No, not at the moment. Robbie, we'll be in touch. I believe we have your email address. If not, I'll get it from Diana, and we can knock out any of the paperwork we have to knock out, and then we'll get rolling. And then Diana, you and I'll coordinate about the additional content that we'll need for the website, updates you want to see there. And then I know, Roland, you and I, I'm sure we'll be talking about any of the usability, talking about things you're seeing out on the park, waypoints, all of that. So we'll coordinate. I'm sure Diana will do a great job getting me whatever we need, and we'll try and get this going as fast as possible.
Great. Awesome.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. And we're looking forward to getting cockermillpark.com ready to rock and roll again.
All
Thanks,
right, thanks,
Kane.
Kane.
Awesome.
All right. Take care and have a wonderful night. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the Riverlands Park. And we're going to hear about the Universal Design Trail field trip. And also we'll talk about the Trust for Public Lands concept plan for that. So what do y'all want to do first? Do you want to talk about the concept plan first and then talk about the Universal Design Trail?
Yeah, I think so. That way give everybody an overview that's not familiar with it, what the new design concept plan is.
So Robbie, can you put that plan up, the first page of the Trust for Public Land concept plan?
If you don't, I can, but I think I have it. You talking about with just the map on it, Diana, the PDF?
Yeah. It's the
Sorry,
first
The
page.
colored one.
I was on
Yeah,
mute.
that one. If you don't have it, I have it.
I
Just-
saved it to my desktop. I'm trying to share it now.
Maybe it's in the pool. I did see your dog run by. Maybe he grabbed it.
I saved it to my desktop and I'm trying to see
Got it somewhere.
where it is.
It's bad to hold it up again.
Yeah, I don't have the colored version though. I just have a black and white.
Let
We'll
me
give
pull
you a
it up.
little time. You could take care of that.
I just saved it to my desktop. It was open a second ago because I was getting ready for this one. But I have it. Let me pull it up again.
Yeah, I'll say I've got it too. If you don't, I got it up.
Okay. We go there. It is. And let me go to Zoom. Oh, okay. Technical.
We got 4 IT people on this call, Robbie.
I know, crazy, right? Okay.
I don't think any of us are Zoom people though.
Mm. Yeah, we're teams. So you're right. Unless Chris is a Zoom person.
Yeah, I do work in both platforms. What's the issue?
If you
I
can-
like Zoom. I like Zoom. I like
Yeah.
Zoom.
I
I'm gonna say that I like Zoom.
take it, Darryl, that you like Zoom.
I like Zoom.
You
Zoom,
just
Zoom.
like- You just like to say it, Daryl.
I have it on
Zoom,
my
Zoom. Zoom, Zoom.
Boom.
All right.
There you go.
There
That's
you go.
something good.
I
Yeah.
can't get.
Yay.
I
Yeah,
got
I
it.
can't get my Zoom. Is it up? Are you guys?
Yeah, I
you
Yes,
got
sir.
it. Yeah, I
It's
shared
up.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And I've got
lost
all
it.
the other pages in there too, Diana. So let me know if you want me to.
I just.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I sent this to all of you and I hope you've had a chance to look at it. This is what Trust for Public Land came up with for the side of the park that is closest to the river. It doesn't include the entire park. And they are funding what they're calling the comfort station and the drive-in and the parking lot and the boat launch. They're paying for all of that. And they are creating the campsites, which will be just mulch sites and the trails to the campsites. So with this park and Campbellton Park together, they're spending almost $2 million on our parks, which is
Wow.
fabulous, because
Yeah.
that's certainly not in the budget of Chattahoochee Hills to spend that kind of money on the parks. In the information I sent, I included plans from them to move that drive, which is located south of the house. The house is number 1, and DOT said, no, you can't do that because the site distance is not good enough for people coming over the hill. Move it north of the house. And so they came up with 3 different proposals for a drive coming from the north of the house. And we can talk about that, but let's start first. Any comments about this plan?
Yeah, I'm curious. When we were out there with TPL and Daryl and Robbie, and we walked around and we're talking about how this would develop, I thought they were talking about a road where vehicles could get down to close to, anyway, number 7 and 12. But now and I'm just making sure it's what I think it is. But now they're saying that would just be walking trails or mulch trails down to the river. And so the only driving would be between the paved entrance road, wherever it is, and the parking area. Is that correct?
That's right. That's correct.
Okay,
There
good.
should be a road that goes from Campbellton Redwine
Yep.
straight through. What used to be designed to like Diana said, the south of the house where the existing driveway is now, a little south to right edge of property, and that way you didn't lose the field. Shoot straight across, and there'd be a small parking area out there. But they're wanting to move it north, which makes sense because it's a crest of the hill.
Yep.
And they're wanting it, and what it is, they go around to that, because you don't want to damage and take away all the beautiful field that we're trying to protect.
Right.
Not bush hog and stuff. That's the idea.
But
of
we're
what
not
we meant.
we're not trying to get cars down to the river to bring boats up or anything.
No, ma'am. There'll be a walking
Okay.
path. If you look at there on the path, on the little map right there, you can see where
Yep.
the trail goes in and stop. There's a small parking area. And
Right.
there will be a maintenance trail that we will be able to access down to the river, emergencies or such, but it will not be to drive down to the lodge.
Okay.
Daryl, is that indicated by that trail that's in the bend at the bottom left? It looks like a curve, because I did
I
see
don't-
where they flagged that when we were out there. Will that be the kind of single lane emergency crush and run or gravel trail you're talking about?
Yeah, you see, if I see right, I don't have my glasses, but if you see right, the trail that goes across the gas line, right there
Uh-huh.
where you're at, right there,
Right here?
where all right, the parking lot should be up. I think that's
Right
is that
here.
number 6? Yeah, what is that?
Yes.
Number
Is that
6.
7? Yeah, number 6, whatever that is. That should
Number
be
7 is
parking area.
down near the river,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not it. All right, back on up to the other number you was on. Yeah, right there,
Six.
right there.
6.
I believe that's where we decided to put the parking lot. Of course, I don't have my glasses, but I believe
That's
that's
what
what
the
it
key
is.
legends. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what the legend says, is that right where whoever's
Yes.
controlling it, that is the
Yep.
parking
And this,
deck.
the other road that you was on, that you was traveling down, that's
That
a
one.
maintenance road that I think that's
Yep.
the existing road that's there. And I think we're going to kind of try to keep that as just a maintenance trail.
Yep.
Got
Okay.
it. Like emergencies, like people
Yes.
that have to walk out, or you have to go down and get somebody in an emergency.
Yeah.
That would
I
be-
don't,
that's what
yeah,
that's-
I don't think if I remember correctly that they're going to do much work on that trail. I
Mhm.
don't think they're just going to we're going to kind of maintain it and just keep it a little bit more accessible. But I think they're more focused on the main road going up to the bathhouse right there. And then
Yeah.
the walk, that trail I met again, I'll do that when I go on my part.
Mhm.
That's going to be zigzag back and forth. That goes,
In here.
right from 7 up to the bathhouse.
Yep,
It's going to be a zigzag back and forth for,
right here, right?
yes, sir.
Number 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that trail that goes down to 7,
Mhm.
and it's going to go switch back down for erosion
Down in
for your
here.
trails. Yes, that's going to be zigzag.
Okay. So this little straight curve is probably not accurate to what we're gonna do in the final.
Yeah,
So-
it's the trail. That is the path, but it's not going to be straight like that.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I would think for runoff and everything, it's
Yes,
pretty
you're
steep
right.
to just go straight down. That they
Mhm.
definitely want to follow that switch. It's kind of already in there. There's a road now that switches back
Yes,
on the,
yes, sir,
and it goes
you're
along
correct.
the terraces. Yeah, yeah,
That's correct.
yeah. And
when
that
I
road,
get to,
that's the original ferry road. So, and it's held up well over 100 years. So I would think that would be a good starting point for it. So.
uh-huh. Yeah, when
yeah.
I get to my part, do my reports, I'll tell y'all a few things
Okay.
that I've.
Okay.
Do you want me to pull up this, what the change from the, Diana, from where that they sent us, where it's gonna move from here down to here?
Yeah, pull that up,
minute.
Roland.
Oh,
It'll show the
before
switch
you
back
do
on
that.
there.
But before you do that,
Yep.
so I have a concern.
Mhm.
In this diagram, it looks like the comfort station is between the river and the picnic area. And I know when people have picnics, they want to
Right.
look at the river. I
Yeah.
don't think they want a comfort station.
Well,
And I
yeah, I
think
thought that was odd too.
ought to
Yeah.
be switched. The comfort station is the prime, most beautiful location. You know, that's right up on a hill overlooking the river. And you can see
Mhm.
there are trees everywhere. There's not a view, I don't think, from the picnic area design. Anyway, I think we could talk to them about that. I don't know if they're changing.
Yes, you can, Diana. That's there. Of course, they you know how well they've worked with us with this.
Mhm.
They're up for any discussions that's going to improve the park.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, I would think that number 8, the comfort station, should be near the parking lot. Yeah, as opposed to being, and especially it's closer to the septic system.
Well, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot to it because you got the septic system and as well that they're going to have to put in,
Which is
and
4,
plus-
right?
and
Yeah.
plus what's going to happen if you got campers that they don't want to be walking so far away from the campgrounds.
Oh, I
if
see what you're
they
saying.
had to use restrooms in the middle of the night or something. So yeah, let's don't, we can talk with them more.
Okay.
And before anything goes
Okay.
any further. No worries.
Okay.
Are those trails large enough? I know Greg's got a gator, but to say for you to go down there and pick up trash, or because with those campsites, they're probably not going to be hauling them back up.
That's why we're gonna have that.
They
Yeah, that's
wide
why.
enough for that.
Yeah, that maintenance trail right there, we're gonna make sure it's just enough wide enough for that. And well, yeah, it's gonna be able to access it. We want to be able to put the fire truck down there as close as possible, but we don't want to open up a big old road and start damaging trees and stuff. So, of course, Greg's got that RTV that he has that will be able to exit if we had to have it. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they're
what I'm
4
talking
feet.
about.
Chip, I think they're 4. Those are 4-foot wide trails. So they're not quite wide enough for that RTV or the big ATV. So certainly
Yeah,
a
we'll be able to-
4-wheeler, yes, but not the big one. So
yeah, we're gonna make sure that we have access down there for maintenance wise.
yeah, I think you're talking about, Chip, way back up in here.
Well,
And
it's all, to service every one of those campsites. I'm assuming we're gonna have to service them for something, garbage or,
Well,
getting
well, yeah,
there's or something.
There's a lot of trails that was already there when we took over the land, because there's a lot of people that hunted before we took it. So there is access where the old cemetery is on top of the hill
number
that you can
15.
access down to the river. You can go right down the river. There's
Yep.
trails that run along the river that I have driven bush hog with. I mean, not the skits, our skid steer with a mulching head on it, with a bush hog on the front. And I've made it all the way from where the campsites are going to be, all the way to the boat launch, where the boat launch is going to be, all the way down or north to the other creek.
Mhm.
So
And
there's
that
a way
other
to get
creek
to
is
all
on
that.
it's on the very top edge
Yes,
along
sir.
here. Yeah,
Yep, that's right.
it's not
And then-
far
and
off
where
the
the-
property.
That's
so-
right. And the gas line, you can access from the gas line right down in there. Yeah, right there, Roland, where you're at.
Mhm.
Right in there, there's some trails that you can access that we used to cut them.
Mhm.
We haven't this year yet, but yeah, there's a lot of trails already in there that access all the way down the edge of the
Yeah, you
big
can-
river to the creek.
You can see
there
them
you
at
go.
number 16. You can actually see those trails that they've indicated. That
Plenty
you've-
access, plenty
Yeah.
access.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get down here literally already. In fact, there is along White Oak Creek, there's a full road that goes straight back to the corner here. So that was already there. It's like a, you know, when it's wet, it's muddy, but it's accessible. I would think that would be accessible for emergencies, you know, anyway. So should I move to the other page, Diana, or are we ready?
Well, I just want to just second what Diana said, because number 8 is the most beautiful viewpoint. And it would be a shame for it to be the comfort station.
Well, maybe it could be shifted to the
just-
other side,
yeah,
you know, where the woods
just-
are. Yeah, yeah.
Just like, just put 7 and 8, you know, still really close, but switch positions. Yeah.
You don't want a loo with a view?
No.
Uh-oh, Mr. Pun.
I don't.
The view for a poo.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Could have a big
All right.
picture window from the comfort station looking out on the water.
And what is there, when it says play field, is that just, I was just wondering where, you know, if there's any thought about a pollinator garden or where the milkweed was, or is playfield just sort of a generic open area? I mean, they're not really planning ball fields or
As
anything.
far as I know, it's just mowed, you know,
Just-
grass
okay,
like
it's
it is
just
now.
not woods. Okay,
Yeah, like it is now. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
kind of mowed. And I
okay.
think you guys mow this a lot more than some of the other areas, right, Daryl? So you kind of mow it a few times a year because it's nice grass. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we bush hog it for sure, but we cut out around the house right up, and then we try to cut a trail across, but we're not gonna cut the trail anymore. We're gonna wait till the road gets in because we don't want people to drive. And if you start cutting the trail
Yeah.
with a lawnmower, people decide to drive through there when they're out there, and yeah, we're just gonna
Yeah.
maintain it like we're doing.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
Are we ready to move? You
yes.
want me to- Let's see. So we had a bunch of options, Diana. You'll have to say which one we thought about that you and I, when we walked out there after before the last city council meeting. Was it A?
This option is, let's show all the options and then we'll get a discussion going. We'll tell them what we thought.
Okay.
So option A is the most direct. And you can see where they've got the parking lot planned where it says ditch the car. So that's a little bit north of where the parking lot was.
Yeah,
planned
I'll switch
for.
back. It's right here. See my mouse? I think that's where ditched the new parking lot. They've got moved it from here over to this side along the tree line, right?
So, yeah, and so you
Yeah.
can see that drive could curve around with the tree line and stay just a little below the hill, go with the contour. And so that would require the least pavement, the least.
Yep. It would be just like this, except it would, instead of it would sweep around back to, because that's what the entrance is actually right here at the edge of the property. That's where the current gate is. So that, if I'm understanding it correctly, it would sweep around this way. So almost identical to the other side. And then, so the parking lot would just move over to this side, right?
Yes.
So that's number A, right? So.
That's A.
That's
And
A.
then B,
There's B.
can you show, there's B. So B is a curving driveway that separates the play area and the homestead, but it requires a lot more pavement and it's a lot more invasive. And it curves to the same parking lot that A had.
Yep. And so it would basically come in here and sweep across the septic field, which I think is kind of odd to put a road over the septic field.
Oh,
But-
yeah, you would know.
Yeah, so that one would come all the way and we'd end up in the same place we are, but it would sweep across the whole thing, which I personally wouldn't want to. That would spoil a great deal of the grass to have a road cut down the middle. So,
Is that concrete, asphalt, dirt?
well, we were
Asphalt.
going to talk about that. We didn't know they were
Yeah,
planning
asphalt.
on pavement. And
Yep,
we were
they
going
said
to
they're
ask Daryl if we could do crush and run, you know,
Well,
or
For
gravel.
the first meetings I remember having when it said they was gonna pave it.
Oh, they want to pave it.
Wow.
That was the first conversation I remember. I'm not
Mhm.
saying
And
I'm 100% facts.
Plan says paved.
Does anybody know if it has to be paved
Don't know.
by
Or
some
what
kind
they
of
say,
rule?
they say concrete or asphalt?
Asphalt.
It
Okay.
says paved.
Paved is asphalt and concrete would be concrete, I guess, from
Yeah,
what I
that's-
understood.
And, they're also showing it as a 2-lane, major. I mean, if those little cars are any indication, that's like a regular highway size as opposed to a drive like we have at the other parks,
It'll definitely have to be at least 20 foot.
Yeah. And if
There's
it,
two
if it
lanes,
was,
two 10-foot lanes.
yeah, wow. So,
I mean, has to be for coming in and out.
yeah, I guess it would be, yeah. So,
And
But like I said, they're negotiable with what we decide on for sure.
okay,
I've-
so it
I've
is
met with them
possible
several times.
to do the aggregate like you've done it, even if it was wide for 2 cars, it could possibly be done like we have at Cochrane Mill where it's, it's not asphalt.
A
So,
whole lot more maintenance though. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm with y'all, whatever y'all decide.
oh, it's more
If somebody-
maintenance for crush
Well,
and run.
If they wanted to pave it, I mean, I know everybody has an opinion, of course. I'm 100% whatever the parts,
Yeah.
y'all decide what y'all's future. If you could get somebody to pave that, man,
Mhm.
that's less maintenance.
Okay,
I know it's in a park, but we had to work on our parks pretty regular, keeping it all scraped and added gravel. But like I said,
Okay.
I'm just my opinion. Like I said, I don't say exactly what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. So that's why we have y'all here. So we
No,
can all
that's why I
make a
brought
group
it up,
decision.
Daryl. That's why I asked the questions, the maintenance,
Yes,
because
sir.
it'll be ours once it's created.
yeah, I mean, that's what
Yes.
we're asking. Yeah, it's just, Daryl, it's just like, is it paved? Is it asphalt?
Right.
I mean,
Well,
I'm also whatever is the best thing for it.
Yeah, the best for all of us, sure.
Yeah,
But I just don't
absolutely,
see how they would
absolutely.
ever put a road over a field line. I'm with you, Roland.
Yeah, I don't
That's-
think you can.
Definitely,
would do
that's not
that.
a great idea. That is
So-
definitely not
so-
a great idea.
No,
That's the existing septic field.
no, I don't think so.
No, I think I read somewhere in here.
'Cause that's awfully far away from the house.
Yeah,
I know it.
there's not a septic system in there now. No, there's
Oh,
not.
okay.
Out that I know of for the house, it would be close. Like Roland said, it has to be closer to the house. I'm not 100% sure, but I think
Yeah.
what we need, from what I'm gathering, all this talk, I think we need to sit down with them, a couple of them, and Diana and us, and let's have a meeting with them and then draw it out, and let's
Mhm.
get there, because there's a lot of questions that we're all asking that none of us can give the answers to.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but
So
we
what
can,
can we? Yeah, we can definitely sit down and talk with them. I'm sure. Yeah, they're always open to meetings. So I've had several meetings with them, and we can sit down with them and get all these questions answered for us, and get a better understanding of what we're looking for and what they're wanting to provide for us. If that helps y'all.
Yeah, if later on, especially since we've got time, is it possible, like we had with Diana, like we had with Kane, to either get Walt or somebody from the design firm to just join our meeting and discuss it? Or
I
We can-
think probably what we need to do is
Mhm.
let me and Diana sit down and
Okay.
give them some key points, so we don't bombard them with a bunch of questions. And I'll take all the records and all the notes, and I talk with Diana what she's thinking. If y'all can send her some email or me
Okay.
emails, and let us get some few things, and let's set them down and let's talk to them first. Then they can come in and then give you a better view. Then y'all can ask questions then, 'cause I don't want them to be bombarded with a bunch of questions and they're not prepared for what we're looking to ask them.
Yeah.
And make a 2-hour meeting for all of us.
got it. Okay.
If that helps, if that's a good
Roland,
idea.
What's
I think
that?
that's a really good idea. Show that last plan, option C. There.
Same.
So option C does have the parking lot lower down the hill. You can see the contour lines. And so it's closer to the boat launch, but it's further from the pavilion and one of the picnic areas. There are actually 2 picnic areas.
Let me back
And
up
it's
so we
more
see
invasive.
it. So you're saying
more-
that it would be further up here, right? The parking.
It goes down. Do you see the 7 that's close to the boat launch?
Oh, it's there.
I think it goes. And so it would require taking out more trees for the
Yeah, I
parking
see what you're
lot
saying.
and for the,
So I think that
road, the
one
drive.
is, I think that one's the same as number 6 on the current colored copy. I
Oh,
think
it's-
they're bringing it around to here.
Oh, they're coming, they're switching and going across
Right.
here like
Yeah.
that.
Okay, you think it's not so down?
I don't think it's any closer to this. I think maybe I'm wrong. I mean,
Let's go back. Hold on. Let's look.
see
There
here.
it is. That's it. So, yeah, it's hard to tell. We're looking at two different things. I mean, this is still accurate. The map. It's just the way they drew it. I'm thinking is makes it look like it's further, but it's close to this current septic field.
Well, the road comes over it. Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to what we were thinking about up here coming around, you know, this around this way. That's why I think we were looking at A, because the parking lot's moved to the other side. It's away from the septic field, right? We still, the gathering spot's still there. I don't know in this version where the comfort station is, the loo with the view. So I don't know. I don't know.
If I'm reading this right, it's not that much lower in elevation. It's like 15 feet lower
Yeah. Yeah.
out of goodness knows how many down to the river.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that the parking lot in A is
Mhm.
not that much higher is what I'm trying to say. Yes, it's
Yeah.
higher, but maybe 15 feet higher out of, what would you
Yeah.
say, 100 feet to the river?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, this has a scale, so you can definitely see there's our, that's 1 inch is 30 feet, you know, so what is that? Almost 100 for that line there.
I just have a quick question here, then I guess we can kind of close loop this. I don't know. What is our objective on this conversation? Kind of just talk about it? What are we looking to do right here in this conversation?
So they asked us which design option we like.
You want-
So
Okay.
it would be helpful to know what the Parks Commission thinks. We're not the only ones that'll weigh in on it. The Parks
Correct.
Director will say what he thinks, and I imagine the city manager will say, and probably the mayor will say. But anyway, we could
Gotcha.
say.
All right.
So
I just had a
we-
really quick question then. I guess if you want to vote on this, then however you want to do it. As I'm looking at all of these options that design A, B, and C, if I'm looking at this correctly, are the entrances on, if I'm facing the home, are these to the right of the home? I guess that would consider it south. I don't know. Is that
Yeah.
considered south?
Yeah,
Okay.
the south.
Okay,
One's on the,
south.
No.
showing one's on the south, one's on the north.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
so
back
everything
up.
is up here. Okay,
There's
stop right
one.
there. Stop. Go back to the next one. I need to make this for my, so right
Okay.
here, if I'm looking at the entrances of this, that is the south, correct? That's up there where it says district card. That is the south side of the homestead, correct?
X's, where the
That's
X's
north.
are, see where them X's are?
Okay, gotcha.
That's
That's
the
the south
south.
side. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's existing. See, Chris, this is the existing south entrance,
right.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, yeah. And like I said, when we walked out that way the other day, I'm looking at this. Oh, why wouldn't we want to, and this is just a question I'm asking, right? Why
Mhm.
wouldn't we want to keep more so this design more so than the other one? Because by doing the other one, aren't we being a lot more intrusive about making a driveway through a lot of the land space than it being closer to this cemetery too as well?
Well,
Rather
their
than on the other
DOT
side.
won't approve
Yep.
it. The
Yeah,
DOT
because
won't
of the
approve
That's the
this.
area. Okay.
Yeah,
Visual,
yeah.
the visual. What happens, Chris, is right there, if where they're proposing to put the driveway makes a lot of sense. It's on the crest of the hill.
Yes.
If you
okay,
come,
got
if you notice when you come out of the existing driveway now, Chris, you
Yes.
can barely see north because of that hump. And then
Correct.
you can barely see south because it's a little bit of a curve. That's
Yeah,
why they're
okay.
trying to move it on the hill. That way you can see both ways further and gives you more
Mhm.
time
Okay.
to get out and try.
Okay, I was reading this wrong. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes,
I was
sir.
reading this wrong because the way that I was reading that particular plan, that one was as if
Yes,
this
sir.
is the proposed option, but this is saying that this is really the option that we do not want to move forward with.
But
Right.
We
Okay,
may
And
not.
that goes,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is that when we was asking these, there's a lot of questions that we need answered before
Yeah.
we can make a decision
Correct.
on this,
yeah.
because where do you want to put the the restrooms, the convenience centers.
Exactly.
Where are you going to put the new parking lot? What septic tank are you talking about?
Yeah,
All these questions we need to be asking, and I'll be, me and Diana will work on getting these questions answers so we can make a better
I
decision
agree.
on what we're going to do. Because it's hard for us to make a decision now because there's a lot of questions that every one of us
Exactly.
have
Yep,
on what's going to happen. Why is the pavilion here? Why is this here?
exactly.
That's not what we thought about. So let's get these answered first, and
Yep.
then we can come back to y'all, and so y'all can make a better decision.
Yeah,
We can provide
exactly.
y'all better information.
And that's exactly where I was going with this conversation here is that,
Yeah,
you know,
we're just
see, there's
wasting
a
time
lot
to
of
back and forth
unknown
with it.
variables. Yeah, there's a lot of unknown
Yes, sir.
variables here. And I think as we ask questions, there's gonna be a lot of more but that's why I said, do we kind of go loop this conversation since there's nothing we can really do with this.
You're right.
Right. I think that's right. We need to talk to them and then we'll come back and
Yeah.
let you know what we
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah,
So those of you who did the scouting for Universal Trail Design, will you tell us about that? That was Roland and Pat and Chip and Chris, or Clifford and Chris?
Yes, not all together, but
Yeah.
we've all been out there.
Tell us about it.
So when we've talked about a universal access trail many times, but always in the context of Cochrane Mill Park. And I mean, Roland actually, sort of came up with a trail plan, and some of us looked at it and liked it, that would be overlooking one of the falls across on the east side of Cochrane Mill Park. So, that's all great, but the thing is that Cochrane Mill Park has already got more visitors than it can hold. And if we want to put a universal trail in at Cochrane Mill, then it means a new parking lot, another restroom, blah, blah, blah. And so, we thought, oh, well, maybe it's, something we could put in at Riverlands. And so that's why we went scouting, to just say, well, if we, where would we put it? Already we're going to get comfort station, parking lot, all that provided by TPL. Is there a nice area where we'd like to have a universal access trail in Riverlands? And so that's why we went, and Roland gets to talk about what we think or what we saw or some ideas about that.
Yep. And, this is all hinged on applying for a grant. That's kind of where it started this year. Pat, suggested that we apply for a grant. And of course, in order to apply for a grant, you have to have quotes, you have to have, a plan. So the first part was to get a rough plan. And I talked to MTBA, and they've apparently designed and implemented accessible trails before. So they're very familiar with what it would take. And they would also be interested in like design, quoting, so that part of the grant could be handled by them. And since we already have an MOU with MTBA, it wouldn't be much of a stretch to have them be our partner, in planning an accessible trail here. So we haven't actually walked with MTBA yet, and that would be Brett Davidson, the executive director. He said he would be willing to go out and take a walk once we got ready. But for now, Clifford, Pat, myself, we walked. I think, Chris, you've been out since.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we kind of walked an area that we thought would be good. We did not have this plan yet. And that's also what led to Diana sharing this plan. So we would obviously have to make some design changes depending on where they put the new road in when they move it. But in the interim, and I don't know if you can see the little hand here.
Yes.
We kind of walked, I believe we walked through starting around here, like with a turnaround, and our trail would loop and follow the tree line and then cross the edge along the tree line, so you could view in here. It would follow the tree line, and this is almost all flat. It's very low grade, so it would be really good for a trail along the tree line. We wouldn't be disturbing the grass. We would just be, basically putting a trail in here. in this area here, it's still flat through here. So we would like to be able to somehow get up to the edge in where the cemetery is for the trail, so you can view the river from the top up here. So that's kind of the idea. So it would give us a good, I didn't measure it, but I'm going to guess probably a quarter to a half mile of accessible trail, easy grade. And then maybe when we look at the top or somewhere in here, that there would be kind of a bench turnaround area, because you have to have that since it's in and out. It's not a loop. It'd be like an eye turnaround area. And then maybe we have even a kind of a rustic shelter over a bench thing, where if you sat, and be for shade, or for maybe even a picnic table to stop, at the end of the trail. So, and then as far as surface area goes, there are some options. It doesn't have to be paved, as long as it uses something like a grid system. They make grid systems that you basically you put in place, and then you pack something permeable into, and it can be literally mowed over, for weeds. So it wouldn't have to be anything. The maintenance would be pretty low on it, but it also could be asphalt, like the driveway is as well. I mean, it could be either. We would take recommendations from, say, the designer, and that might be, MTVA, that would make recommendations for the type of surface. And then of course that would be the quote maybe go up depending on the surface we choose. But
so I'm looking at the scale on this particular map, and it's there's a thing here that says 1/3 mile. So what we're talking about is a good half mile at least.
Which is that's a really,
which is pretty
good
nice.
trail. Yeah, it's very nice. It's exercise for bike. It would be like for strollers, wheelchairs, kids on bikes, or adults, walking. It's that kind of trail. So I think it would, and it has to be wide enough where a wheelchair can pass, to the left of somebody else in a wheelchair. I think that's the rules. I kind of looked it up, which would mean it would probably have to be in the neighborhood of 6 feet. I think the minimum requirement for a wheelchair is 36 inches. And so it would have to be a minimum 6 feet wide.
You don't want to make that too tight.
No, you don't. So 6 feet, is a single, and then if you had to pass somebody in another wheelchair, that would be just enough. Yes. So, but again, that would be whoever the ADA trail designer is could probably tell us all of that, when we get ready to do a design and get quotes to do for a grant. So,
but the area has certainly got enough scenic interest to be worthwhile. And there's at least 3 different scenic places that you could stop. But again, that would also hinge if they do put the comfort station right in the middle. You would be passing in front of the bathrooms on the trail. Yeah. So maybe we do end up, they can move that somewhere else so it's not blocking the view. It would not go down to the river. It's too steep. We did walk some of that to see, and it would take a great deal of switchbacks to safely get. Accessible trails have to be a maximum grade of 5% with an average of 3%. And, at any one, I think what I read was 3 to 5% within 100 feet is a safe, accessible trail pitch for wheelchairs. And also for people that have walking issues, that that would make it where if you were elderly, or you could still access these trails easily. That's the idea. So I think this would be a really great thing for the city to have this. And it's far away from Cochrane Mill, so.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Would bring people to another less used area.
Mm-hmm. And it's still close enough to the Parkway and Hudson Ferry where it's not that far off the beaten path. So, And I have one question for Diana and Daryl, since you had talked with TPL. I'm assuming that the parking lot and the comfort station or restrooms are accessible, correct? They're not, do they have to do that? Where there's at least
I think they're planning to do that.
they are, okay,
They
Okay.
are.
yeah. So I think, yeah, that's really it. I mean, the other option, if everybody thinks that this park's not good for it, would be to have it at Campbellton, because it's smaller and it would be a shorter trail. But, you know, it is possible to do that there too. But that's definitely off the beaten path from most of the city because it's on the far end. And, you know, this is a little more centrally located. So this park seems to be the best spot for it. And it could definitely be a destination for a accessible nature trail for the area. So it'd be really cool.
I think
Other
just the
question?
fact that when it gets developed, it's gonna draw people off of Cockrell Mill Park. Because right now, there's nothing for anybody to really go see either.
Oh,
Hudson,
absolutely.
either.
I think the camping will be great, but I think the camping is focused on water transit trail or water trail transit, I think. I mean, that's the idea between the two parks. People would park at one end and, you know, and trip to Campbellton Park, canoe down and camp, you know. I think that's the idea. They would, or stop at each park, you know, on their way down, you know, to Chattahoochee Bend, you know, as a final destination. You know, it's certainly from this park, it's doable to go from here to Chattahoochee Bend in a day. So.
Well, thank you to everyone who scouted this. And so do y'all want to move forward with the grant application, or do we want to talk to council first and say, here's what we're thinking, will you support this? That'd probably be a good idea, because it's so much work to create a grant application and you have to have council pass a resolution supporting it. And so if you don't have their support, you may not want to. Robbie, are you here, or Dana, do we need to do that? You think, present that at this point to the council?
Yes, it's always good to do it in advance because it does require a resolution. You want to get their buy-in because there's going to be a match, and that match has got to be budgeted.
Yeah, I think it's still a little early days. I mean, it's not a small project. I think maybe we want to get the TPL plans a little firmer so we can sort of say, okay, here's where we think we want to put a trail. And then, you know, then we see if city council wants to do that, if they, you know, pick which grant we think we want to go for, what the match would be, you know, and then start working on it.
Do you think we should go so far before we present it to go ahead and get some at least rough design help from MTBA to where we can at least have a layout for city council to show what we're doing?
Well,
I hate to present something that's not doable.
I mean, but until we get the TPL thing firmer, I think it's kind of a moot point, isn't it?
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea, Diana or Daryl, that how TPL is moving along with changing plans? Or do they have something? Is that going to happen soon, or is it going to be months? Or like, I know they have to adapt this, and they present it.
I can reach out to them and find out. So I'll be glad. Yeah, I'll reach out.
Yeah, is that what's the name of the design firm there? I'm just curious. I mean, they might even be able to quote on ADA trail as well. So
oh yeah.
Was it Pond?
Is it Pond?
I know Pond helped us at one point, but I don't know that Pond actually came up with this design.
Yeah, it's Pond and Company.
Oh, it is.
Pond
It is. And Brad Jones. Brad Jones is the lead designer.
Okay. And I'm sure they have experience with accessible trails as well. So, I mean, we might be able to, you know, when we move along after we get their plan finalized, that they could help us design around this. Maybe that might be something too, especially if we're going for a grant, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, you know, we do that's more official and more thorough gets us closer to actually winning the grant, right? So, yeah.
Right.
So this memo from Christine Hassel, that was, I guess, to you, Diane, or I don't quite know to who, says they would like a decision by Thursday. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's realistic or.
Well, I'll just get in touch with them and see what they're thinking at this point.
Yep. Goes back to that same thing. Me and Diana will have a conversation with
Yeah.
them, so we'll be able to
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean,
keep it.
I have pretty strong feelings that a lot of road through that meadow is not a good idea.
Same here.
And,
yeah.
We all feel that. We all feel the same as you do.
So, I
Yeah.
mean,
But we have to, but you, then again, I know sometimes we don't like things, but when GDOT
That's
won't
true.
allow you to make,
No,
that's one of the things
no,
you have
no.
to.
I mean, I completely understand about moving the entrance. And I think Chris even said when we were out there that, ooh, you can't really see very well coming out here onto the road.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think we are going to have to move the road, the entrance road. That's no question about that.
Yeah, but
and
I don't
either
like, I
side
don't
is
want to go across
disturbed.
that field. I like agree. I like
Yeah.
it circles around the back of the house
Yeah.
and then hugs the wood line again. I think that's a great idea, but
Yeah, and there's already a road there on the right side. If you look, there's an old road bed there. So it wouldn't be, disturbing
There's
it
a
as
gate-
much even as the
yeah,
left side.
there's a gate there as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of already set up for that area and it's right on I think it's still off the property line for probably 100 feet or something from the corner.
Yeah, I think they're just needing to know about the driveway if that's good. So like I said, once again, me and Diana will reach out to them
Yeah.
and we'll get some things sorted out for y'all.
Okay, that'd be great. Diana, can I ask you one more question before we wrap it up? When you guys talk to them, would you share some of the things that we brought up tonight, like the restrooms being in front of the viewpoint, things like that?
Certainly, yeah.
Is
we'll
that
talk about
appropriate to do that? I just don't
We
know.
can ask. I think we can certainly ask, why is it like this? And maybe they have a really great reason why it's that way, but I think we ought to at least ask.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for scouting and for commenting. So I think we'll move along. The next item is the sweep the hooch. I've got rolling down for that. Would you? And actually, I think a lot of us were there, but do you want to summarize sweep the hooch just a little bit, Roland?
Yeah, I sure will, real quick. I think we did have quite a bit. I think Clifford, Chip, myself, Diana, Pat, were you there?
Yes, I was.
Yes, sorry, brain's not working today. Yep, that's right. I should have written a report up. So anyway, we split this year. Like we did usual, we split into two groups. We were up at outside of the city. Diana had led a group at 166. That was a large group, 40, I think, 40
That's
people.
right.
Yep.
That's right.
And our mayor was there in that group, Tom Reed. And so there was no water cleanup this year. The river was just too high again and too dangerous. And then we had a smaller group. I think we ended up at 16 at Campbellton. We had some no-shows and some cancellations, but that was filled in by mostly Parks Commission members. We also had a city council member, Camille. Usually Laurie Searle is at those, but she had a prior commitment this year, so she couldn't be there. We got, I think, was it 1.5, Diana, 1.5 tons this year? Yep.
Yeah.
It was a lot of trash. And we had 20, I think we dropped off 24 tires. Thank you, Daryl, for letting us put those in your giant pile. So, and we also had some quite large items. I know we ended up with a full basketball goal. We had a dishwasher. We had the dishwasher was actually down at the river. And Chip's wife, Peachy, helped me pull that out, I think, right? We hooked it up and drug it up out of the river down at 92. So, I think that about covers it. It was pretty awesome. We had a family. Oh yeah, we had a family who happens to be acquaintance of mine. He had contacted me that his 13-year-old was looking for something for community service for his bar mitzvah, and they decided to make Sweep the Hooch in Campbellton part of that. So he brought the whole family, and they had a blast. And I think that's it.
All right, and I want to add,
So if you'll unshare, I'll share a picture of all of us there. I can't
yeah.
share.
Yes, sorry, I should unshare this. Let's go
If I can
back.
find it again. Where is it?
I
Sorry.
wrote an article about this for the
Oh, yes,
newsletter.
There it is.
Nice article, and we used Chip's photos.
Where's my
And
unshare button?
so in the next Chat Hills newsletter, there'll be information.
There we go. I think.
Sorry about that.
Yes, it.
We see your black screen. There you go. Awesome.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
my
We got a nice little group.
Now I hacked a picture of that, then I put your head in there between Camille and Joe.
I
noticed
Sands
that.
brothers.
I noticed that insert. That was good.
It was not the best Photoshop.
Photoshop, little Photoshop.
So that was our group. And Diana, I don't know if you had a picture from your group. I think you submitted one to Pat, right?
They did have a photographer, but I do not have one of those photos.
Oh, okay.
So we have a picture of the mayor,
Oh, we do.
and we have a
Okay.
picture of Camille. And we have a picture of, what's his name, Glenn Van in his fancy
Oh,
antique
good. Yeah, we had a
Ford.
great picture of that. I
Yeah,
forgot.
but actually, the picture you just showed was the Photoshopped edition
Oh, it
of
was.
Chip is in this month's Chat Hills News.
Oh, good. So
Already
everybody's in
published.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it looks like I just
feel like a
chunked
floating
it.
head there.
It did. I tried. You sent me I had only a JPEG of that, and I had to match it with a high resolution photo. So I tried. It was difficult. So
You're better at Photoshop than I am. Good job, Roland.
hey, I'm a professional. So there you go. So,
Well, all right. Thank you to everyone who helped with Sweep the Hooch.
Yep.
The next
it was
item
great
is
fun.
challenge, and I think Clifford had to drop off the meeting because
Oh,
he had
no.
another 7. So we really don't have here to talk about that.
Yeah.
So maybe we can work on that by email. Does anyone else want to say anything about City Nature Challenge? Do you think we've got time to plan an event?
Yeah, I don't know anything of the details of it, only what Clifford had mentioned. I guess maybe we should do that with email back and forth with the group.
All
right. I do have one comment though about the budget that, for things that we requested, to go through city council. And I know there was not really anything in there specific, but it was, and I know we had a hypothetical about a restroom at Hudson Ferry Park, which was way, way out of budget. But it was mentioned to me by one of the city council members that they would be willing to budget or push to budget a porta potty at Hudson Ferry. I just thought I'd mention it, that might be a possibility to have a wash station and porta potty there, because we've noticed over there that there are people during the day that come there from their offices and their businesses and park there and use the restroom in the woods. And it's been I've noticed it quite a bit. So there might be a possibility that we could do that, it could be budgeted or something. I don't know, but that'll be brought up through city council because it'll be part of their budget. Robbie, it was just mentioned that she brought that up, that might be an idea.
So
Oh,
could we say that we think it's a good idea?
I
mean,
think it's a good idea, to have one there. Like it'd be like an inexpensive way to have a restroom, and it seems like there's a need there.
I mean, we're inviting people to come, and we're not really giving them, to come and walk the trail, or, and it's not a long time, but sometimes you just really need a comfort station. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if the city council is looking for any input, but I think it would be nice, it's.
I don't know what your thoughts are, Daryl or Robbie. I mean, it wouldn't be any more maintenance for the city to do it because it would be done by, an outside party. But but and I wouldn't have brought it up except that it was actually brought up to me and asked me if they thought it was a good idea. A city council member was like, you know, they said that it's possible that they would do that. And of course, not us. So don't know. And I don't know how that works. So just thought I'd mention it.
I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a better idea now that we have a local who owns a company.
Absolutely. That would be Glenn's company, right?
Yeah, right there on Cochran Road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, put the washing station and just the restroom there. And it's like Roland said, it's an inexpensive way to put a Band-Aid on the situation we have right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do have support from city council for it.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought I'd mention it. So,
Like
and I didn't even ask about, it was just, I was in a conversation with city council member and they are the ones that brought it up. So I thought, oh, that's a good idea, you know, good solution.
We're having budget meetings coming up with council members starting next week, and I would
Mhm.
suggest that.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be
All
great.
right. So good. I've heard that Roland thinks it's a good idea and Pat thinks it's a good idea, and I think it's a good idea. Anybody else want to chime in?
I think it's a good idea too.
All right,
All
Chip
right.
thinks it's a good idea.
Yep. Yeah. Daryl's got no comment.
Hey, you know what? Whatever makes y'all happy makes me happy.
Hey, you know what? Comfort stations all make us happy, right?
Yes.
There you go.
But what doesn't make me happy is finding toilet paper in the woods.
Yeah, that was my primary concern, is I have seen that quite a bit in the woods there. I know we see it at Cochran Mill, but you know, nothing you can do about that. But at Hudson Ferry, I thought at least if it's there, you know, and I think that the spot for it would probably be up there where we had them for the festivals, you know, near that tree line where it's easy to get to. So, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe,
people will use them as long as they know they're clean every time they come by there. So
yeah, I think if you have the local company, Glenn's company would be pretty awesome. So.
It's nice to have a little shade, otherwise they can get kind of.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway,
Good point.
so thank you guys. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. We have no items for consideration. Are there any other commission member comments or suggestions?
Nope.
Okay. Staff reports.
All right, so I emailed out earlier today the park statement of revenue through March 31st. And once again, went with the format to compare to last fiscal year at this time. You'll see the annual parking passes are kind of about the same, it'll round or a little over 12,000. The daily parking, both cash and credit cards, is up a little bit from this time last year, to bring the total parking fee for this year up to $72,327. So it's up around $6,600 from this time last year. The primitive camping is down slightly, and the total park revenues, including that primitive camping revenue, is $72,592. And the parking decals distributed to date is 392 for resident, 425 for non-resident, for a total of 817.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for keeping our minutes and all that you do for us. Anything else with that?
I have
All right,
nothing
then.
else.
Daryl.
Yes, ma'am. Like I was telling you earlier, I met with Christine and Jeremy, Patrick, and Brad. They're with the people that are doing the parks for us, and we discussed the design of the comfort stations, the restrooms, in length, the maintenance wise, what they're going to be made of, the material, the stuff that's going to go in, the kind of doors they're going to be putting in there, how to lay it out. About over 2 hour meeting we had with them. A very successful meeting. I think they're, like I said earlier, they're doing very well when it comes to our inputs, what they're wanting to do for us. There's going to be block, less maintenance. There's going to be a shower in one of the restrooms, sinks in both restrooms, outside water bottle filler, a little bit of a cover, a side cover on the stream, metal roof, a lot of less maintenance. So it was very, very productive meeting that we had with them. I think you'll be excited about the way the restrooms have been designed and the looks. We've changed a few things, a few ideas that they're going back and have redrawn them. As soon as they give me the updated version of what they're thinking, we're going to go ahead with that. But I'll definitely let y'all know. I'll get some pictures out, send out to y'all and see what they're going to be looking like. We kept in mind, you know, that in Cocker Mill and some of the other parks in the wintertime, we have to shut them down because of the cold weather. We're trying to design this where there's a little bit different aspect. So the outside water bottle be covered. So we won't, if we're able to shut off some of the water when it gets below freezing, we'll be able to leave some of the fixtures on, so you can still have water. Because like we said, there's going to be campgrounds and campsites there where you'll be able to access the restroom and washery. And if they want to use, we're going to put an outside spigot close to the parking area if they want to wash their dishes up or whatever, and wash their kayaks and stuff off as well. So great design, good engineering thoughts that have been into it. So when I get the update, like I said, hopefully me and Diana will be able to speak with them more in the next few days. I'll be off tomorrow, and I'll try to get back with Diana and with Christine and them and see what we're looking like on future, and get some of these questions answered for y'all that when we go forward with the design of what we want to do. That's all I have. Hopefully ball season gonna start this Saturday. If anybody interested, you know, we've had to
definitely.
cancel. I think it's 3 Saturdays now because of the rain, but we're hoping this Saturday is going to be opening day. So we look
Yeah.
forward to that.
What time would that be, Daryl?
I think it's usually 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
I remember right. I'm usually there. I don't really remember the time. I just know I'm there early to set up the PA and get everything ready. So I think it's 9 o'clock if I'm not mistaken.
That's cool. Hey, I have one question about the camping at the new parks. Is that going to be free, or is that going to be through the same fee-based system we use at Cocker Mill? Do you guys know?
That'd be what we'll have to do. Like Dana can answer that, because what'll happen, they'll have to bring it for council and decide which parts to be we're going to be charging and all.
Yeah, I just wondered whether since it was being paid for by the TPL, what would
yeah, I know we talked about with the boat launch, but the boat launch was different with that, where we couldn't close and we couldn't charge. As a whole different aspect, because they built it and we had to lease the land to them for so many years. So that was different. So I think this is going to be different, I believe. But once we get it started, we'll have better answers for you when we move a little bit further. I believe we'll be able to charge.
Yeah, and if real quick, if we did be able to charge, would we have to investigate, the city have to investigate a different system where you don't actually have to, because people would be coming from a much further distance if they're canoe and kayak camping as opposed
to do the kiosk. Probably do a kiosk.
Yeah, where they'd be able to pay for it there, as opposed to having to go to City Hall and reserve.
The new kiosk at Cocker Mill has been a tremendous, the upgrades they made. So plus they have new kiosks that are designed now that you can be able to do. They multi-purpose kiosks, not just pay for parking. You'll be able to do other things.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question.
Good question. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. What a stellar meeting, as always.
Yeah. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
We'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye. See you guys.
We are adjourned.
Hey, Greg.
Thanks so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks.